Hey, gear fans, this is going to be a rant about hybrid mixing with the Tascam Model 24 versus just using a straight interface and like your traditional interface into, say, Reaper or the DAW of your choice. It's just me talking. I've had probably just one comment from somebody about, he said, all you do is talk. And it's like, yeah, I didn't promise nudity or dancing or race cars or space shuttles or anything like that. Like it's just a gear show and I talk about the gear. This is what this is. So I don't know who told you this was Die Hard 5, but it's not. It's just me talking about gear. There's no, there's no nudity, there's no Mel Gibson or anything like that. So I think you're on the wrong channel maybe. So, but anyway, yes, I'm going to talk about gear. The other comment somebody said recently was that I was whining, and what they were referring to is me talking about gear. So again, they got off on the wrong channel. They're like whining. Like by that logic, you could watch Lord of the Rings and say, all them fellas did was whine about that ring. It's like, no, that is the content. The Lords of the Rings, like it's like if you watched a Cheerios commercial and you're like, they keep whining about them their Cheerios. It's like, no, that's the content. That's the content. I'm not whining. I'm talking about gear. So again, I think some of you fellas are looking for something else. So anyway, Tascam Model 24. I've done a few videos on it. I've done a few videos on the Zoom L20. I've owned every multi-tracker, damn near every multi-tracker between here and 1995. Cassette tape and, all the stuff. The Boss BR 1200, the Boss BR 1600, the Roland VS 2000, the Roland VS 2480, all that crap. This is a fine, fantastic machine. So is the Zoom. Not the R20, but the L20. The R20 sucks. The L20 and the L12 are very good. All of these are good. The 2400 just come out. So I personally, I get stuck in analysis paralysis. And I'll just preference, somebody else said the other day that I have no credentials. Exactly, dude. I'm a guy on YouTube. I'm just some guy on YouTube. I've literally not presented a resume. I've literally not presented any credentials. In fact, in the video that he said that on, I even said, I'm just some dummy who has strong, wrong opinions. I'm wrong all the time. And then the guy leaves in the comments that I have no credentials. It's like, yup, I just said that. But anyway, if you like gear and you like talking about it, you just want to put this video in the background, like and subscribe, we'll talk about some gear. All right, Tascam Model 24. What's it good for, and what do I struggle with it, and that it's not so good for, as opposed to just, say, your old Apollo here, or, this camera's a pain, or Reaper, or I'll show you, I got a Focusrite. I should have brought that over here. This Focusrite is getting lent out. I'm just about to lend this bad boy out to somebody who's doing a project, but like, this is very common. Lots of people have these, the different Focusrite models. What the Tascam Model 24 is good for, obviously, is live. It's also good if you're trying to get an off the floor 16 ins. You're not going to find that easily very much in a USB. You're just not. So if I got my buddies over, say 4 or 5 people, this is a little easier to deal with. But that's only if I'm in front of this thing. The metering on this is super lame. You come over here, you get this tiny little crappy screen. They've fixed that on the 2400 because now there's an app that you can use to meter. But on here, it's really tough. You have to be standing in front of it. So whether it's, I'm just going to turn another light on here. Whether it's me and my buddies are trying to, get gain staging, get levels for drums. You got to watch these little clip lights and live. Like I can't be over here at the drum kit and over here. I got to physically pick this up and go over there, which sucks because all my Neve preamps are here, my Neve clones. But if I'm the guy just at the board and it's some other band playing, which happened recently, that's good. What's a little better than that, I find, is something like Reaper, because it'll actually leave the clip lights up for you. So when I'm by myself, unfortunately, this is easier because it's gonna give me my clip. It's gonna leave my red clip, and I know that, you know, I got to turn this one down. I got to turn this one down. I got to turn this one down. Sure, you can do it by ear. That's actually tough when you got a room full of 5 people. I have yet to be able to stop a band from playing their instruments while I'm trying to get levels for them. I've had different kinds of genres of music and different kinds of age groups and people, and down here and across the 5 studios I've had. And do you think I can get them to stop for a minute so that I can get a level for them? No. They get together and they're like, let her rip, get the Marshall stacks out. The drummer's got to be louder. So anyway, metering is super important. And I find this, unfortunately, less ideal than typical interface in Reaper. The only advantage to this for me is the portability. You can pick it up, and it feels fun. It feels cool. That is a thing where you can start pounding. You can write songs in it. You know, you can flip it on really quick. The other day I wanted to play with my synthesizer really quick, and I didn't have this hooked up. I had to boot the whole computer, boot Reaper, start a project, save into a folder. Like, this is just instant on. Like, it's like an appliance. It's just instant on, and it's really fast. Another advantage of this, so yeah, it's portability. You can pick it up, you can bring it to a bar, you could run 16 mics, or you could do 12 mics, and then you could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. You can also just put mono mics there if you want to. So yeah, it's great as a tracker. Now, Mike over at I Love Recording, he has one of these, and then he's got the he uses the Tascam SD, I believe they're called, the DPs, sorry, the 32s and the 24s, which I've had all those too. So between this and the DPs, that's how Mike does his stuff. That's how he makes his songs, and he's having a great time over there and doing well, showing tutorials. Where him and I differ, I think, is that I have unfortunately invested a crap ton of money into plugins with Waves and Universal Audio. So I have, $1,000 or so of Waves and Universal Audio plugins. You know, you can see the Apollo Twin down here. I also have some Focusrite plugins. I've got some soft tube I got plugins all over the place. I don't think Mike has that problem. I think he mixes right in his board. And with the DP, not this guy, but the other board he uses, it even has a little mastering suite. He gets his choruses there, his flangers and his delays if he wants, his EQ, his compression, his noise gate, like anything he wants, he gets out of his DP. This has compression on the way in. It's got a low cut if you remember to do it on the way in. It's got EQ, and it does have the 3 auxes, so you can send it to outboard gear. It has the subs if you can want to send it to outboard gear, and it's got these effects here. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Let's see here. We got the small hall, the large hall, the small room, the large room, the plate, the studio, the live, the short delay, the ping pong, the chorus, the flanger, delay in small hall, delay in large hall, chorus in small hall, chorus in large hall, on auxiliary 3, which are these knobs here. So it does have built-in digital effects if you want them. A guy could get by on this for sure. In fact, in the 90s, oh my god, like I'd be in my glory to have all of this. It's really all anyone needs. Any band person. There's a guy online, he took some young kids from, I think it was California, Los Angeles, and he had them record a cover of Come Together by the Beatles. It was fantastic. And he just used this for the tracking. So then what does he do? And he was supposed to be featuring this machine, right? So he tracks with this machine. It sounds great. But then what does he do? He does a part 2 featuring the Model 24 of mixing it. He immediately takes the tracks out and puts them in a computer and starts mixing them. So it's like, okay, we're doing good with these video series until you did that. Like, awesome. You showed us that you can track beautifully, but then he's like, he gets out this soft tube console 1 flying fee. It's like, dude, this is supposed to be about the Model 24, I thought. Anyway, it just showed that you could track with this, and it's really all anyone would need. Like I said, I'd be in my glory in the 90s. I mean, all we had in the 90s was up to here. 4 tracks, and it had no frickin'... The tracker I had, the cassette, the 4-track I had very limited EQ, maybe a high and a low, no compression, of course, no reverb, nothing like that. But yeah, so Mike over at Live Recording, he just does one of these and a DP. Tascam, what is it called? Tascam 24 DP, 32 DP. So my problem is I'm caught between worlds. You can kind of hybrid mix this little thing here. Live is coming from Live. PC is coming from, say, Reaper, your DAW. It's coming from the PC. And MTR or multi-track is coming from the card. You can do this quasi-bastardized, like, oh, track 4 is my bass player that's in the room right now, but track 5 is coming from Reaper, track 6 is actually on the... Yes, you can do all that. It gets messy in a hurry. I find that your tracks are either on the card or in the computer. And those two worlds should not mix. They can, but what are you going to do? Have some of the tracks here and some of the tracks there, and then it gets convoluted. One guy, and I'm sorry, was it Wedge Gain? I can't remember his name. They're Canadian as well. He came up with a cool thing where you can SMTPE lock, which I've done with this. I don't know if I've got that acronym right. You can time lock this with Reaper. You really can. And I know everyone will say, there's not a transport control, you can't. Well, actually it does. You can hit play and stop and rewind and fast forward on this and control Reaper and vice versa. So even though it's not a true MIDI audio interface controller, it's not an actual DAW controller, you can hit play on here and it'll play on Reaper, and you can hit play on Reaper and it'll play on here because of that SMTPE lock or whatever it's called. I, at this moment, cannot remember the acronym properly. Let me just go into my Reaper. I don't know if I'll see it or not. It's probably down in the MIDI controls. If I don't find it fast, I'll abandon it. But just so you know, it is possible. I've done it, and that guy online was doing it. Nah, I'm not going to find it. It's not hard to set up, though. I swear it's like SMTPE, something like that. Time lock. Anyway, so I could have some of the tracks here and some of them up in Reaper and then use my plugins. And then you simply like, okay, say track 10 is coming from the computer, from Reaper, and I've got my Waves Q1 on it, and I've got my Waves L2 on it, and I've got, Waves Abbey Road plugins on it, or I got the Universal Audio something plugin on here, and it's coming down here, and then you're recording it, and you can re-record onto the memory card. My theory is use this as a 1990s tracker to track with. And then when it comes time, if you're a plug-in guy like I unfortunately already am, kind of hard to get out of it now, if you're going to mix, move all this stuff to the computer and just be done. Leave it there. So it really is two worlds. And if you think about it, that's how it used to be. Led Zeppelin would go to a studio or a few studios. They recorded this song at in a mansion out in the country, and then they recorded this one in Los Angeles, and then they recorded this one in a castle in Spain, right? So they'd have their 10 tracks or whatever it is. Led Zeppelin albums tend to only have 8 to 10 tracks on them. They've got their tracks recorded, right, on tape. Now it's time to mix, and they lift that all up and go to another studio, another situation, and mix. That was normal back then, right? I think I'm looking for an all-in-one spot solution that I track here, so I mix here and let it be, it doesn't have to be that way. I think I can use this like a 1990s tracker on steroids. Write the song, record the song, pick it up, bring it to my buddy's house. He does his part. Bring it to my other buddy's house. He does his part. Let it all be on the memory card, right? And then at some point, hit stop and be like, the tracking is over. And that's what the big artists have to do. At some point, Led Zeppelin and them, they have to go, that's it. No more kitchen sink. Like, it doesn't, the song has to be done. Somebody said the other day, strive for finished, not perfection. What golden advice that I never follow. I'm always like trying to perfect my crappy stuff and therefore get nothing done, But yeah, at one point, Tracking must be done. And then what I need to do is take the waves off of this board and put it into Reaper, which couldn't be simpler. It's so easy. They've done such a good job. And that's why I don't like the Tascam DPs that Mike uses, is because it's a little harder. But I got my USB cable just hanging out here, because at any time I want, I can fly a big old song with, 20 tracks, no problem. I can fly that stuff into Reaper so simply, and it lines up beautifully. And now I'm in this world. So this is how I'm doing hybrid. I don't think it's how a lot of people think of it. There is no right or wrong way, as long as you're having fun with your gear and making songs. Then I'm in this world. And that's what that guy did, that Produce Like a Pro guy did when he recorded them kids doing Come Together, is he recorded with this, and then part 2 of the video, bye-bye. That was it. Like, he just, and I was just a little miffed because I wanted to see him, a pro like him, mix with this, and he's just like, and now you move it to the computer. So it's like, okay, well, I guess that's what I'll do too. So anyway, it's just a ranting ramble about hybrid mixing and some of the shortcomings. The other thing too is I like on my mix bus. So on Reaper, my mix bus is down here. Yours might be like the other side. I've seen some themes have the mix bus over here. I like to put a compressor, which I like the Universal Audio P compressor, the precision compressor. I like to have it, boom, right there, the glue right away. Also like the Universal Audio, I think it's the ATR 102, which just came native. I love when Universal Audio goes native. I really don't like using the Apollo as the hardware, the hardware accelerator, because like our computers are so fast now. We don't really need that. Let me just see if I can find this plugin, because I'm going to give you a little gem of a tip right now. If I pull up the ATR, what is wrong with your brain? Yeah, ATR ATX 102. This is like a mastering tape, okay? Now the tip I'm going to give you, and you could have got this off YouTube. Do you know who Vance Powell is? He's a guy from Nashville that works with Jack White. Jack White respects him greatly. He engineered some of the Raconteur stuff, and I think maybe not Icky Thump, because Icky Thump was done by Joe Ciccarelli, but Vance Powell has been like Jack White's buddy in Nashville, which says a ton, obviously. Anyway, Vance Powell likes this plugin. What I want to share with you is his settings on the master bus. So you can open this up. You can make sure that's on 15 IPS, which it is. IPS is inches per second. It's how fast the tape goes through the machine. Its trip, how fast it makes its trip from here to here, inches per second. Okay, 15, so it already is. He sets this to 250. This one here. What does that do? I don't know. I think it's like the kind of tape. I don't know. I just know he does it, so I do it. And then he sets CCIR right here. So I'm going to set that. What does that do? I don't know. I just do it because he does it, and it sounds good to me. Then he opens this guy up. I'm going to hit the open button. You see that? I hit that, and this opens, and he makes sure that this AutoCal is on, which it already is. Okay? So someday I will dig deeper and find out what those settings do. All I know is it sounds good. Vance Powell does it. I'm going to do it. And I stick that on my master bus right here. And I put it after the compression, because I figure in a real studio you would compress first and then the tape would be the final thing in the signal. So that's my logic there. No one told me that that's the way to do it. That's the logic that I've been by. So yeah, all my mixing when I'm in Reaper, in the box, in the computer, all my stuff is going through a precision compressor. I'll even show you what that looks like. So precision bus compressor by Universal Audio. It looks like this. This thing's been around for a long time, right? I usually go to the rock preset, which is number 2. And then I just adjust to taste the threshold. I leave the ratio to 4:1 usually, and I mix through that. So while I'm mixing in Reaper on my computer, my stuff tends to sound like a record, like it gets glue at the end. You can't do that with here. This right? Not easily. You'd have to send your signal out here to another interface, to another Reaper, to another thing with that master bus set up, right? If there's a way, I can't figure it out, but there's not. There's just, you can't just insert those plugins in this master bus in any manner. Apparently, the 2400, the new Tascam that just got announced, apparently somehow you can. I haven't really looked at it. Mike over at I Love Recording has kind of reviewed that machine. I've not really looked at it beyond watching his synopsis of it. But anyway, so there's some ranting about my struggles with hybrid, some of my thoughts on it, some of the ways I got around some of the stuff. I apologize, there was no Mel Gibson, there was no nudity, there was no race cars, baseball bats, or space shuttles. I'm not really sure what the guys that are like, all he does is talk about gear. Yeah, well, welcome to Quest for Gear. All he does is whine. Yeah, well, you just heard me whine for 20 minutes about the time. Like, these trolls are unreal. Anyway, all right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.